Stone struck a stunner, his first Premier League goal of the season. 13 minutes when Erling Haaland slammed home a penalty after indeed he had been adjudged to have handled a Jack Grealish cross, in 25 minutes when Haaland was set free by Kevin De Bruyne and finished coolly beyond Daniel Everson. Maddison and Fass had efforts in the first half. Second half, more chances went the way of Leicester. Pratt had one, Maddison with a one-on-one, Kelechi Iheanacho hitting the post late on, a couple of vain penalty appeals as well, but Leicester did strike with 20 minutes remaining. A Maddison corner, a thumping header from Suter, pushed away by Edison, and Iheanacho scoring against his former club once again from close range. But that was all that Leicester could celebrate from the game against the reigning champions and the team that are aiming for another Premier League title, and certainly looking odds on for a Final Four place in the Champions League. Jerry Taggart watching on this afternoon. Dean Smith's first game as Leicester manager. What have you made of the evening's entertainment?
Yeah, but I think he's learned a lot, especially with that second half. Yes, Manchester City, rung the changes, played within themselves, didn't really get out of second gear at times in that second half, but he'll have seen a reaction from the players, and that'll be the thing he's most pleased about in that second half. Obviously conceding the 3 goals in the first half is where all the damage is done, but then how do you react to that at half time? So that's a positive, or one of the positives that he can take out of this game today. As I said, this season will not be defined by this game, but obviously moving on, things have to change, and change quickly. There's no doubt about that.
Leicester players have gone to applaud their travelling supporters, and likewise the applause has come back their way following the efforts that they have put in this afternoon, and they troop towards the tunnel on this near side. Dean Smith has just waited for them at the mouth of the tunnel, along with John Terry, along with Craig Shakespeare, the other members of the Leicester staff. Riyad Mahrez getting a warm embrace there as well, as the Leicester players come off. One more task for Jerry Taggart, former Manchester City defender, who's been greeted by some of the locals. They still remember his time here. Your Leicester City man of the match this evening, Tags.
I'll make this one easy. James Maddison, best player on the pitch yet again. A player that deserves to be in this company. There's no doubt about it.
But Maddison, who had the captain's armband, he's the last player to leave the field. He's passed on a shirt to one of the youngsters on the front row of the stand on that far side, a member of the security, walking alongside him as he leaves the field. We'll leave the action here, but plenty more analysis to come with Tags, with Walsh and with Matt, alongside Dan Bates. Full time here, Dan. Leicester losing out, Manchester City 3, Leicester City 1.
Thanks, John. 3-1 rather. It finished Walshy, but there are certainly positive signs moving forward under the stewardship now of Dean Smith.
Yeah, 100%. It was better. There's no doubt. I suppose he's got a bit of a dilemma looking into his next game now to see what team he'll play. I'll be really interested. I'm quite intrigued by what system he'll play and how he's going to go about the Wolves game, because his job really starts now, doesn't it? Really. I mean, I think a lot of us all wrote this off. Although Leicester have that second half, they certainly there was some decent stuff, and I think that they'll be going in that dressing room now with a little bit of an upbeat about them. 3-1 is no disgrace at Man City, and it was a mixed performance again, but like Jerry said, Man City they brought the big guns off, and they tried to just game management by just passing the ball. It was like a keep ball session at times, and like a charity game for them, but in the end they could have paid the ultimate price, because there was chances for Leicester City, and then they were close.
Yeah, they were playing, sailing close to the wind, actually, weren't they, Man City? Strange as that sounds, come the latter stages of that game. But contributory factors as to why things improved for Leicester in the second half. Basically, Man City were coasting in second gear anyway, and they took the foot off the gas even more in the second half, made the changes. They weren't that bothered. I mean, if I was Alvarez, I'd be frustrated. Don't get too many opportunities, and when you do, midfielders aren't even looking to find him. You know, it was just literally like what she says, keep ball there. But fair play to Leicester. They did what I mentioned, the possible preemption of what Dean Smith was saying at half-time to his players, go and win the second half. Sounds a bit corny and sounds a bit unrealistic at the half-time interval, but proved to be the case, and they can take consolation from that.
Yeah, you did say that, Matt, quite interestingly enough. And you know, when you think about it, there was, you know, the Maddison chance, a natural couple of snapshots. There was really, and so Man City just took the gas off the pedal too much, and could have been cut out. And I think Pep will learn a bit of a lesson about that. You know, he must look at that and think there was good chances for Leicester, but you know what wasn't good was a lot of passing errors under no pressure whatsoever, giving the ball away. You know, and Man City don't do that. You know, and I looked all over the field, and there was. Is
that because they're at the Etihad, they're against Man City, who strangle you like that?
Just think the errors that shouldn't be made, the unforced errors really, and it was sloppy in the play, and we've got to eradicate that. But you know,
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
I think that the frame of mind that Leicester players are in at the moment, some individuals more than others, you know, coming up against the quality of Man City and everything that brings, just brings that bit of tension into you a little bit. You don't play your natural game. You saw, again, explain the reasons why I think Leicester improved in the second half and Man City took the foot off the pedal. But it also, towards the latter stages, the pressure was off almost. They thought, right, we're not going to get a tank in. We've realised that. It's 3-0, 3-1. They got the goal, and all of a sudden,
could have been 3-2.
Yeah, they had a little bit of purpose about their play. Stuck the chest out a bit. All of a sudden, they were expressing themselves a bit, and maybe surprised themselves, reminded themselves of what they can do.
And Maddison started to show what he's all about in them positions and further forward. You know, he made that mistake last year, but he was played further forward. Them through balls he were playing were terrific passes through. You know, I thought Soyuncu did well for his first outing. You know, in how many months. So I mean, it was encouraging in that sense of it. I'd like to see us maybe play a 3-5-2 and play Iheanacho and Vardy up front as a pairing, Matt. You know, but to keep Iheanacho up front as well, not coming too deep, and try. Obviously against Man City it's different. We've had to. I can understand what Dean Smith's done, his game plan, and you know, but it was just that there was apprehension in his players, and he can't do anything about that. But you know, they got through that period, they got through that, and then they started to play the game and caused Man City enough problems to get back in the game. And you know, I'm not going to say we could have nicked a point, but you know, unfortunately, you know, the things for Man City went their way, but it could have gone wrong. Yeah,
and do you think because of that, Jerry, Dean Smith, will he be coming back to Leicester this evening from Manchester thinking, I'm fairly happy with that. Okay, we lost the game, but I'm really pleased with what I saw in the second half?
Well, I don't think he'll be fairly happy. I think the goals, or at least two of them, were unavoidable yet again. So there's obviously an issue at the back that needs sorting out. But I think attacking wise, like you say, you know, Leicester scored one but had two really good chances with Iheanacho and Maddison. And obviously if one of those goes in, you're walking off the pitch losing 3-2 and you're feeling even better about yourself. So there are positives, but the problem that Leicester have is they keep conceding goals that are avoidable. And that's probably his main priority between now and next week. And also, like I think Walshy's just mentioned, there's an option there. Yes, it leaves you a bit more open. You don't have as much control of the midfield, but with Tielemans back, you know, hopefully with the quality that he has in that, automatically gives you a bit more control in that midfield with the quality that he brings. So, you know, there's a bit of pondering to do, let's say, for Dean Smith between now and next week.
Well, the same, Sags, when you mentioned there about sort of weak defending or mistakes, the goals conceded, it keeps happening and happening. I mean, you know, we're all relatively experienced defenders. But what about yourself? I mean, what does Dean Smith do to help eradicate those mistakes? Because they're not intentional.
No.
They shouldn't be making them. But how does he actually correct it? Is it a mindset thing or practice on the pitch?
I think it's you've got to go. We've mentioned it before, Matt. They have to go back to the basics. Like you take the first goal from a corner, the ball was bobbling up and down in the air. Somebody has to go and attack that. Now Wilfred Ndidi puts John Stones under pressure, but he turns his back.
Yeah.
He did that against Brentford, if you remember, away a few weeks ago, and the ball went into the back of the net because he turned his back. So little things like that about, if you're going to put pressure on the ball, don't turn your back.
Do you imagine, Jerry? Imagine that happening all day, right? And I think this is equal these days. Why didn't somebody get hold of him and say, why didn't you close that down quicker?
Yeah.
No one tells them what they've done wrong, so they just get on with it.
Well, might they with John Terry, Jerry in the dressing room now?
Absolutely. And these are the things we've got to analyse. When they watch the game back, is things like Wilfred Ndidi turning his back yet again when he's putting someone under pressure. Get a leg up. You seen Jack Grealish do it to Wout Faes. He stuck a leg out and put Wout Faes off, and Wout Faes' shot went over the bar. Ndidi just turns his back on John Stones, and John Stones is able to get a good connection on the ball. So these little bits and pieces, if you can correct them, then it makes it a lot harder for the opposition. Someone has to attack the ball. The ball was bobbling around. I think it was 3 or 4 times, at least 3 times that I can remember. The ball, someone has to go and attack that as a defensive team. You have to be on the front foot, ready to go and attack it.
There's quite a few basics, Jerry, that we're not doing right, and you're brought up to go and close that down, and if it does hit you in the face, like I said at half time, it hits you in the face, and it's simple as that. So it's almost like you're turning your back because you're scared of the ball hitting you in the face.
These balls don't hurt well.
These are just basic things that we were brought up to do, and yet we concede silly goals and put ourselves on the back foot when there's no need, because overall in that game, in that first half as well, okay, 3-0, but there wasn't that much else that Man City did that creative wise against that defence, really. So we caused our own problems,
especially through the middle, apart from obviously the third goal where De Bruyne has played that ball through the middle, but that's a mistake from our point of view yet again. But the other 2 goals, yes, you have to allow City the ball in certain areas, and today they said, right, you can have it down the flanks because we've got 3 centre halves that hopefully are going to attack it. So they're going to have joy in certain areas of the pitch. So they had it out wide, but unfortunately we just weren't able to stop them.
The good thing is now we've got the manager's had a good opportunity to look at another 5 players, substitutes coming on as well. So he's got a good look at quite the bulk of the squad towards his next game. And like I said, really, really interesting what he's going to do. And it makes you think, what will he do? And they've got to analyse that game still, look at it.
He'll have an idea though for that Wolves game next week because of what he's seen firstly in training this week and then today.
I was just going to say, actually, for me it's quite a difficult one for him to make a judgment on, because Walsh right. He's got to look at a lot of the players through the week and in real game time, but it's different things to take into consideration, like how good the opposition are, how much they raised their game, and then that they lessened the tempo. They were coasting, so you're thinking, hang on a minute, okay, it's Man City, top-notch side, didn't play that well, and we're still 3-0 down. There's got to be something up. But then you look at the positive side, if you want to be, and you need to be, say, well, hang on, we could have actually, it wasn't inconceivable to peg them back. With the chances Leicester had, a couple of penalty shouts.
Dennis Pratt had a great chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Madison, Iheanacho, as Jerry said. So you can look at it from that perspective. What's the reality? The reality will be the performance next week against Wolves, and then you see what you're actually dealing with properly there. Because I think off the back of that game, he'll learn little bits about individuals, but as a team, he'll still be sort of working it out, scratching his head a little bit. Yeah. You have to see, against a similar standard team in a slightly better position than Leicester, Wolves, but in a tense pressure cooker situation, how do they react there? That's the real
Yeah,
litmus test.
It's in our hands now, Matt, as well. When you look at the games, we've got what have we got? Wolves, Everton, Leeds, Fulham. I think you look at the games and you think
Liverpool,
there's points in there.
Yeah.
You know, but how many games have we got left now? 7, is it?
7 left now.
But it's a massive ask, isn't it? You know, you're down there and you've got to win 4 games. Really,
there is,
to be safe.
Looking at the table, there's 2 points, and Jerry, maybe that's something that Leicester fans can take solace from. Okay, they've gone to Man City, that easily the hardest fixture that they had left, arguably maybe even all season. There's 2 points between themselves and safety.
Yeah, I know. So it's the lads have just said it. All is not lost, but things have to change and change quickly.
I prefer to be in a position now where you're just outside it. Obviously, we're in it. I know we're in it, but what I'm saying is that the next game is crucial. You have to win that game. It's one of those games where you've got to get yourself and lift yourself out of there, and then put the pressure on someone else, because the pressure is mounting, and mistakes are made through this pressure. I've been there. I know what it's like, and the strongest survive.
You don't want too many must-win games, because you
don't
win all
you
those
don't want that.
games.
That's why I'm saying we need to get out of there quick, and put the pressure on Forest and on Everton and someone else, and then we've got to play Everton, haven't we, and these games. But once like I said, when we're in that position, it's not nice. The pressure is not nice, and it can just things go against you and your heads go down. It's easy done. I can understand it sometimes, but it's the strong-minded people and players that come through situations like this. And have we got that? I'm not sure, but look, they're going to give it everything they've got, that's for sure, again, but we'll see what happens.
Well, that's where the new manager can play his part, along with the staff that he's got, with a 7-game run in that we have got. That's a crucial part of the manager's job, is trying to give the players some self-belief, a change of voice, a change of scenery in regards to the coaching staff and the manager. So that'll be crucial in these next 7 games.
Yeah, well, even before the remaining 2, Wolves, Leeds, Everton, Fulham, and then those 4 before Liverpool at home, who haven't been very good away from home this season in general.
Yeah,
a huge.
There's still cause for hope. Of course there is. It's not the end of the road just yet, but it's not a million miles away. But it's redeemable. It's redeemable, and like all she says there about Dean Smith's job starts like from Monday, basically, and that's quite a good way of putting it, really. Today, a little bit of an assessment. It's not make or break today. It'd been lovely to pick up a point, but I think Jerry said it about won't define the season. It's the following games that are coming up, but it's just that it's got to happen soon. It's got to happen real soon.
Do you know what, Matt?
See if those changes. I'm just saying that he was looking for fresh ideas, Dean Smith said today. Apart from the system itself, I think he'd been mildly disappointed early on that it didn't seem to change. There didn't seem much different from what there has been of late. We might see more of a drastic change next weekend. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, regardless of any results now from now to the end of the season, we all know how crucial it is for the future of this football club. But I think I'd like to see these in charge next season. I really do. I just feel like it's quite right, if you know what I mean. I'd like to see them given a chance. I think there's a bit of a rebuild needs to be done. I think in a different style of play we need to look at, because players get older. Vardy, obviously, you can tell now he's just getting to an age now where it's a comfort zone and it's not happening for him, but he's still lethal, still a finisher. You can't lose that. But there's players again, that are going to go in summer because a lot of contracts are up, I believe. So there's going to be changes, and it's going to be in a really interesting period now for Leicester City, how we handle the situation.
We'll worry about that at the end of the season.
Yeah, you're right, Matt. I'm looking too far ahead, but what I'm saying is, I like the combination.
Like fit,
it does. It feels like a fit, and whether it all goes well, I don't know. But I really hope it does for the manager's sake, for Shaky and John Terry. I think there could be a good combination there. And but look, let's see what happens.
Yeah, sticking with next week, Walsh, rather than next season. Jerry, Harvey Barnes. Obviously, we don't know the time frame on his injury. We think it might hopefully only be just this game that he misses. He could come back. We know Johnny Evans missed today through illness, so he could potentially come in. There are options for Dean Smith next week.
Yeah, I think it's important that, Dean Smith has as many, quality players or game-changing players at his disposal as possible. So he has options. He can make those decisions that, the style of play and, the formations and everything else. So, obviously Harvey Barnes is a big miss. Hopefully with a new manager coming in, he's had a burst of confidence, because at times we've seen him where he's been electric this season, at other times he's just been slightly off the boil. And so hopefully now, with Dean Smith coming in, then he can just reignite that spark, that we seen the other night against Villa for that fantastic goal he scored, because he's an important player and he's an outlet, he's an option, he's an outlet for Leicester. He gets us up the pitch, and in a game like today, that's massively important. When you've got one player who can just literally, change a defence into attack with one pass.
And what about your mate then, Jerry? Johnny Evans, mate, he's key for me.
Yeah.
To our survival. I think he's the only one leader that we've really got left as such.
Exactly. I don't know what's happening with Johnny.
I know
it's one setback after another at the minute.
Yeah. A fit Johnny Evans would be. Oh God.
Yeah,
massive.
like you say, he's a leader on the pitch.
Yeah.
Communicator. He's got a wealth of experience. So again, vitally important member of the squad, and Dean Smith will need him, sooner rather than later, that is for sure.
Quick word on Kelechi Iheanacho and his performance in the second half.
He must be reading my mind, Batesy. I was just literally mulling it over. I'm thinking to myself, does he start next week? Every chance. I think put it down to a little bit of, not rustiness, but just coming onto the pitch. And yet another super pass from James Maddison. Listen, the last player you want bearing down on you, tracking back is Kyle Walker. If your touch isn't 100% bang on, he will take it off you. Unusually for Iheanacho, he took it a little bit too wide. But other than that, it posed a different threat, didn't he?
He caused some problems, Matt. Do you know what he did?
He usually does. Even if he doesn't play that well, he usually has 2, 3, 4 points in a game where he's effectual.
It was almost like they told him to stay higher up the pitch because he likes to come deep.
Yeah.
And he was backing into the centre backs. He was causing them problems. He was making some decent runs, creative. He was offside that once as well. But it's almost like they've given him a not identified already that he comes too deep, and he does all the time. He's constantly coming too deep, and there's no one there. Stay up. You're as a number 9 now, and let's see how we go.
Well, a lot of people suggest that he's not naturally suited to play that lone striker role, but I think he's better at it than he's given credit for. I think he's quicker than he's given credit for as well. He's not lightning.
He's got to work harder though, Matt.
He can get himself in good position.
He's got to chase lost causes, and he's got to die for the cause. That's the thing that he doesn't give to me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but he doesn't exude that sort of...
It's not his way.
Personality, does he?
No.
He is what he is, but he's been Leicester's top goal scorer, hasn't he, over the last couple of seasons, really, one way or another. And he must be frustrated. It's an opportunity for him to really nail down a spot, and he could be a huge player on the run.
Yeah, he's had a lot of opportunities, but he's got to take it. He's got to take this one.
Yeah, let's hope he does. It'll be interesting to see what happens next week. Big thank you to Jerry Taggart for your company. Enjoy your trip back from Manchester this evening. We've got plenty more coming though on LCFC TV over the coming days, of course. On Monday we've got Extra Time. Jerry Taggart is on that. We'll be assessing this game against Manchester City and looking ahead to Wolves next week and, of course, the remainder of the season. We'll be here. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday. There aren't many. In fact, that is the last one of the season, I believe.
Monday's coming up, isn't it?
Yes. So join us from 2 p.m. for that. And then you can listen to Jerry and Matt in conversation with David Nugent. Leicester's the place. Latest episode. You can hear that wherever you get your podcasts and also watch it on YouTube. Yeah, we've already said thank you to Jerry. Big thanks to you two for joining us
pleasure.
today.
Cheers,
Okay,
cheers.
it's ended in defeat on Dean Smith's first game in Chad, but there is certainly plenty of positives moving into these huge 7 games remaining of the season. Good night.